Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, September the 6th, and it is Labor Day weekend here in Canada and in several other countries. So I hope everybody who is having a long weekend has an opportunity to enjoy the extra long weekend. I'm filming a little later today than I was expecting, but it's also giving me an opportunity to try out some new lighting in preparation for wintertime, when it's dark and gray and all of the things and not glorious sunshiny days. I know everybody enjoys when I come in with my weather report, and so I'm just going to do a brief recap. Yesterday was a sunny, glorious day. I loved it. The temperature was about 85 degrees. And today, not so glorious. Not so much. Today is a cloudy day, and in fact, it's raining right now. When I was setting up and getting ready to film this, it was not raining, but it's raining now. The high today was a glorious 58. Yes, I'm giving you those temperatures in Fahrenheit. For those who would like them in Celsius, yesterday was 29. Today the high was 14. Tomorrow on Labor Day, it's going to be a balmy 9 degrees Celsius or 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So yes, welcome to where I live, and the weather can change quite rapidly at all times of the year. So we've gone from a high of 85 on Saturday to a high of 48 on Monday. It makes the clothing situations a little bit interesting, so I always enjoy the people who say, oh, use your capsule collection and you only have 30 items, and I go, it's really hard to go from 85 to 48 with like only a few pieces of clothing, so my wardrobe is larger than that. Okay, none of you came here for, you know, a lot of that, but that's my world right now. So, as the subject says, let's talk welcome to September. And so there's all sorts of groups that are doing certain things in September. So there's a large number of people that are focusing on Sampler September. There's also Serendipitous September. And as I lately remembered in my last video, there's also Start It September. And want to know what my September is? It's called Marbeck September. I know, big surprise. If you are new to my channel, thank you for coming and spending some time with me, and I hope you enjoy what you're seeing, and if you do, please like and subscribe. As well, for anybody, feel free to put some commentary down below, things you'd like to see, okay, besides Marbeck, because we're going to have to live with that for a while, or questions, anything that I can help with, that would be fantastic. And for those of you who are coming back, thanks for coming back. You know what you're in for, so let's settle in and get on with it. So I'm just gonna go right into my stitching, and yeah, it's not gonna be terribly surprising what I've been working on this week. You've heard it for 87 weeks in a row, and you'll probably hear about it all the way till the end of 2020. Welcome to the Marbeck Nativity. I'm working on the center panel still. It's really great. So here's what it looks like. But that Krynic, for those of you who are new, that Krynic Big Star, all of that's done, and I'm very grateful about that. So that's the chart. Where did I get to this week? Well, we have a shepherd. Now, I didn't get the back stitching done, and I have to tell you, last night I was having, you gotta love when the child in you and the adult in you have what my family like to call a discussion. So the child in me was like going, but I don't want to do the back stitching. I don't want to do the back stitching. I just want to stitch. I don't want to do the back stitching. And the adult in me was going, you are not gonna like this. If at the end of all of this you have to go back and you have to do all the back stitching, that's gonna drive you nuts. You need to do the back stitching now. So clearly last night the child won grudgingly, and we didn't do the back stitching. But tonight the adult is going to win, and I'm gonna do the back stitching. He'll look better when he has a face. According to the I've read the back stitch instructions. According to the back stitch instructions, he has eyes and a mustache. Okay, whatever. We'll see what it looks like when I get it in. And again, the interesting thing is I had to scroll up again. So I had to, so the shepherd actually ends just sort of, as you come along here, the shepherd's actually down to about here. So the part that was left over that I had pointed out last week, these parts are now filled in with their appropriate colors. And so I've filled in all of this glorious shepherd, and I have gotten a little bit of a start on Joseph. And so I have a thing about where, you know, if I'm working on a color over here and it's also being used over here within reasonable distance, I just like to go over and get it done. There was a color that was used in here, and I looked over into this world and went, ah, there it is again. Oh, but wait, it's like, you know, 57, 53. It started with a 5, and I went, that's too far for me to count. I'm going to end up with an error, so I'm not doing that. And in fact, when I was stitching this, I did find an error, so I did have to rip out 3 stitches. So actually, since we do random terminology things, so some people call that frogging, because you have to rip it. I like the version that says if you're only having to do a few, it's not really a frog, it's a tadpole. So I had to tadpole 3 stitches, but it was an interesting one because I had to figure out where I needed to actually, it actually required cutting a thread to actually get it to pull out the way I needed it to. So it was an interesting one, and making sure that everything else didn't unravel. So that was an interesting escapade. But I have a shepherd, and I've moved on to Joseph. You know how I said that I was going to sit down and I was going to figure out what I needed to accomplish and when I needed to accomplish it in September? Well, I haven't done that. So I should probably do that today, you know, before we get to, like, you know, September 27th and I go, huh? But I have been spending some quality time figuring out what my plans for 2021 are in my random moments. So that's my Marbeck. So we're making progress. I have a shepherd and a donkey and a start of a Joseph. So yeah, so the task for tonight is to sit down and do the back stitching on the shepherd and get that done, because I really will be quite cranky with myself if I get to the end of all the stitching and I haven't done any of the back stitching. I'm not going to enjoy that, so I do need to do it as I go along. And there's quite a bit there's not a lot in the shepherd, but everything that needs to be done in the shepherd, all of the cross stitching is done, so there's no reason why I can't get the back stitching on the shepherd completed, period. Full stop. It quite frankly probably should have been done last night, but like I say, I had the toddler adult discussion, and yes, sorry, those things go on in my head. Please don't be frightened. I'm mostly a normal person. But I also did work on, I'm continuing to work on my Hinzeit mini autumn block. Again, with a goal of having this completed by the official first day of fall. I did pretty good this week. I'm happy with my progress because I have 2 letters that I got accomplished this week. So I got the U and the T done. So last time, when I showed it last week, I had finished all of the outlines of the blocks here. I know, no big whoop, but it was progress. So I did get the T and the U completed, and I have to say I'm very happy with my U's. My color variation, while I wanted it to be quite close to this, and it's not quite there, but anyway, it's not bad. I'm still okay with it, but I have to say I'm very happy with my U's. I think they look very similar to each other, so I was very happy with how those came out. So now all I have to do is do my A and get the charms attached, and then I can say I have a finish. And I know with Marbeck, it's like hard to believe I'd ever be able to say in any given year that I have a finish, but I have another finish. And this would also mean that one of my very few, I get it, I only had 5 Mania starts, but it would mean that I would get another one of my Mania starts where I could actually say that it was finished within the same year. It's a small one, I know, but it still counts. So yes, my goal for next week is that I will get to hold this up again and go, I have a finish. And when I get that done, will I start working on another one of my smalls after that? No, because this is my assigned small for this week, because of the rest of the time needs to be spent on Marbeck, because we really do need to get that accomplished. Otherwise, my plans for 2020, which I'm really enjoying thinking about, won't come to fruition. So I really do need to get it done. So that's my mini autumn block. It's coming along, close to finish. So that's my stitching for this week. Brace yourselves. This I'm hoping actually is going to be a fairly small video this week, but it's me. We'll see how it goes. Let's talk some haul. So I know that I've been taunting you with haul for a number of weeks, and I said that I was going to ration it out, and I'm rationing it out, and I'm having that moment where I'm like, given this lighting, it's going to be really hard if I don't get some of these things out of plastic. So sorry about this, folks. I have to take things apart. Things are falling. So my Rosewood Manor, remember I talked a number of weeks ago that I had placed an order with Rosewood Manor because they had some charts that are, well, based on what they said on the site, and I'm led to believe is accurate, they're getting close to going out of print, and so if you don't get it soon, you're probably not going to be getting it unless you can find it on a stash unload or something like that. So my order did arrive. This is what I'm sorting out here and trying to get out of my plastic, which is taking longer than I thought it was going to. It's because I'm not very skilled at this. Getting there, close, we're almost there. It's I have 3 of these types of things, and they're a little more challenging to unpack than you would think. Okay. So, I got these, so they call them note cards. So, this is the Tulip. So this is what the front of the card looks like. It has a inside. It's a blank. So it really is a card that you can use as a card. It's got a blank spot where you can write things. The part that I'm careful not to show you is the other side of this. That's not true. Sorry, got it wrong. So the whole inside is blank. It's the back of the card. So part of this card is that you get the pattern to actually stitch this. So I didn't buy this as a card for the purposes of giving it as a card. I bought the card for the chart. So it does come with an alphabet down here. So I suppose if you wanted to put somebody's name or do something or other. So if I were stitching this, I would probably not stitch any of that and just do the tulip itself. It does come with an envelope that has a nice little, coordinating color thing on it. Anyway, so that's the tulip. I don't know if it actually has a name other than that. Probably should have looked that up. This one's fairly obvious. Now, for me, I don't think the picture does it justice. So this, of course, is called Let It Snow. Now, in what you're seeing, it does look black and white, but of course, in my head, if you do all of these things in silvers and blues, I'm actually just looking at the chart to see what colors they're using. So they're using like DMC 924, 926, 27, 28, kind of those really tealy gray blues. I don't know that I would do them in those colors necessarily. You could do it on a navy background and do it in white and silver and pale blue and okay, anyway, whatever colors make you happy. You could do all of this in green if you wanted. Anyway, so that's Let It Snow. And then here's the mark on the envelope. And then, not surprisingly, because I'm one of the queens of Christmas, so here's ones with Christmas trees. Saying, of course, we wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I thought that's what it said, but it's hard reading it in reverse in the camera. And then Christmas trees on the card. So again, could be used as an honest to goodness card to send to somebody. I of course bought them because I like the chart, and one of these days when I can stitch things other than Marbeck, I could stitch something. Okay, that's not all of it, there's more. So this one is called The Berries. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's called The Berries because when she was, so she had gone to, I think the story is that, okay, here we go. It's on the back. The idea for the sampler bell pull was formed when I was in a shop looking at overdyed floss. The colors are amazing, and I found the colors I had selected all were named after luscious berries, and therefore this is called the Berries Bell Pull. So I like it. I'm not, I don't love, you know, doing alphabets a ton. So I'm not sure when I go to do this. Hold your breath, because who knows what year that's going to be. I don't know that I would necessarily do these bands with the letters for the alphabet. I think I would just squash it all down and just do everything and just drop those lines off. So it does give you the pattern to, like, so up here, these the fabric that's attaching it over the bell pull, this is actually cross-stitched as well, and so you've got the design for that in the chart as well. I also find it interesting that the chart number is C001. Maybe this is the very, I don't know, the very first chart of Rosewood Manor? I don't know. Can't tell you. I find the numbering interesting. And then I got 2 bluebirds. Now, I think if nothing else, you can see a color palette forming here. I can't say that I love stitching birds, but I was totally fine because there's my 2 bluebirds. It's not really an overly birdie design. It's more floral. So that's 2 bluebirds from Rosewood Manor. And then this is the one that when I was looking at these online, this is the one that got me. This is the one that I really like. So this is called Good Foundations. Because sadly, if you've watched any of the things that I talk about, I like a house. Welcome to a house. Now, am I gonna do it exactly like this? Of course. There's a few things that I need to change. I don't necessarily love the color of the drapes, and I think there's a couple of things that need to be fixed in the door. Anywho, that's just me. But there is an alphabet running around the border here. There's no way that I'm gonna be able to read these in reverse, so I'm just gonna, so the words are appreciation, balance, compassion, diligence, endurance, friendship, grace, happiness, identity, joy, kindness, laughter, music, nonviolence, openness, peace, quiet, resolve, spirit, truth, unselfishness, virtue, wonder, exaltation, youthful, and zest. So I really like, so when you see alphabets and all that kind of stuff, to be perfectly honest, this is my favorite alphabet that I've ever come across. I like that one the best. And it has a house. So mostly the design is pretty much there. As I say, there's probably a few things that I myself would choose to change somewhat in this. Okay, so no big difference than many charts that I work on. But this is the one where I'm like, okay, you have, and I did go and I looked to see if my LNS could order it, and not available from their distributors, or at least the distributors didn't have it in stock. And again, I think this is where Caron Wildflowers from Rosewood Manor was kind of like, this is why she was having the sale, because she said once she's out of them, that's it, and she's not going to bother reprinting them. So this is what started the downfall, which led to this, plus this, plus this, plus some cards. Because I don't have enough things to stitch. Okay, this is why I do floss tubes, is because it means that there's nobody in the room to laugh out loud when I say sentences like that. All right, so that's the haul that I'm going to show you this week. And now we're going to move on to my segment where I'm going, let's talk about some free charts. I honestly, if I'd paid attention, I would have gone and looked to make sure that I hadn't shown these before. But one of the things that I do before I get on to record a video, so I did have a pattern in mind that I was going to show and I was going to talk about and tell you where to get it. And I had this whole thing going on in my head about what my free chart of the week that I was going to show you was. But this is one thing where I'm really good about before I get on here. If I'm going to show you a free chart, I always go in and make sure that the free chart is still available. It's not just one that I have in my head knew that it was available. So for like example, Pandemic. Pandemic was available for 1 week, back whenever, I don't remember when. But if you didn't download it during that week, congratulations, you have to pay to get the chart now. That's just how that goes. And so, and you know that I'm very good about every time I'm talking about the free charts, my answer is, if there is a free chart and you like it, download it, because you cannot count on the free chart being available forever. And so here's my live example. I had this chart. It's from Victoria Sampler. It was in the Victoria Sampler Facebook group. And so I went into Facebook, I went into the group because I'm a member. That's how I knew about the chart and all that kind of stuff. And I went to where I knew where I had gotten it, because I, of course, I actually had followed my own, you know, helpful suggestion, and had gone in and downloaded it. And clicked on the file section and went, it's not there. Actually, so what happened is I clicked on the thing and went, it's not there. And I went, oh my goodness, please tell me that you remembered to download this when you were talking about it. Anyway, so I, you know, then I looked and said, yes, I have safely downloaded the files for me, but it is no longer there. So my whole free chart that I was going to recommend and show and talk about is no longer available. And in fact, when I opened it up, it very specifically, it actually says on the chart, it says this was a free gift for the Facebook group, and with a request that people respect the copyright and how it was provided to people, and to not have the people who were able to get it to gift it to somebody else. That it was available to the members of the Facebook group when it was up. And so there went my plan. So then I had to come back with a fallback plan. But when I find these ones, so when I have these moments and I'm going free chart, ooh, ooh, ah, ah, and I'm trying to download them and print something off. So I gratefully, you know, looked at the ream of paper that I have printed out of free charts and went, okay, so this is what we're going to show instead. Because there's always free charts. My only issue is I didn't do the extra step and went, let's just make sure that the free chart is actually not one that I've talked about before. If it is, sorry. If it isn't, okay, I'm doing not too bad. So this is Stonestreet Stitchworks, and this is called Winter Village. So it's just, you know, a very simple chart. Snowflakes, snow on the levels, red houses, some lanterns. I think it's very nice. Of course, wouldn't necessarily do it on brown fabric, and would probably change the color of this to something. Not sure to what, because you do want it to contrast with the snow. So check back in 7 years and see if I've come up with anything. Anyway, so that's one of them. I will put a link directly to the Stonestreet Stitchworks freebie page. So they do have, I want to say, about a dozen charts of varying topics. This is one of them. So this is one that I've downloaded. So after my first fiasco, I went, even though I had printed this out, I was like, now you have to go back and you have to verify that the Stonestreet Stitchworks one is still available. Because if it's not there, you can't, well, I could show it, but it would be very, it would defeat the purpose of what I'm trying to do. So also from Stonestreet Stitchworks, this is called First Snow. Again, so okay, I know it's me in the houses, and I've got a friend who kind of goes like, what's with you in the houses? And the answer is, I like a house. And while I don't like most of the temperatures that come along with snow, I do like the look of snow, and I certainly like, from a design perspective, what snowflakes look like when they're designed for cross stitch. So that's another free chart from Stonestreet Stitchworks. So again, links to those, to the freebie page for Stonestreet Stitchworks will be in the notes below. And with that, that's my episode for this week. I know, so short and sweet, should be just under the 30-minute mark. It was funny this week because I was watching the Sunshine Stitchers, and Sheila was kind of going on about how she would really like them to be able to produce a 30-minute video, and the other two just kind of laughed at her. I'll put a link to the Sunshine Stitchers below. If you haven't watched them, I really enjoy them. And you do get a lot of variety. They're stitching on, each of them are stitching on different things. They show different things. They each always have some haul and all that kind of stuff. So I will put a link to the Sunshine Stitchers page, because if you haven't watched them, highly recommend that you go have a look at them. And with that, that's the end of this week's Flosstube. I hope you've come up with some plans for what you want to accomplish in the month of September. I know, mine's generic. I'm going to be working on Marbeck. But hey, this is a month where I could have a finish on something else. And I really do, hopefully by next week, I will have officially mapped out what I need to get accomplished in September to be on track to be where I think I need to be for the end of the year to anywho. Because I really do want to end 2020 with Marbeck done. It would be lovely. All right. With that, I hope everybody is having a great week. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and that you are finding enjoyment in your stitching, and that you're actually finding some time to stitch. There's a lot going on. Kids are going back to school. Different workplaces are reopening to a certain extent and having their staff coming back in. So, you know, my other line is always safety first, safety first, safety first, safety first. So I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy, and I hope you have a really good stitching week, and we'll see you next week. Have a good week, guys.